Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Marney.
Welcome to the museum, my dear. So great to see you and meeting for the first time. Looking at your work here, it's quite extraordinary. Reading about some of the words that you wrote down really grabbed me, and it made me it made me think. And this is what, I think art is very strong when it makes a person come in to the gallery and look at and think about. And so you say, always looking for more until the more we are looking for loses its meaning. Would you speak to that just a little bit, please?
Yeah, the Greeks call it horror vacui, like just wanting to cram spaces full of objects. And so that's, I think, compositionally where that statement comes from, is like not really knowing what to do with empty space in a painting. Most Lauren is if they're larger than my wingspan, taller than my height, if I'm immersed in the studio. So I really want to be filling space.
When you look at excess, you're saying that we are a hedonistic society. And can you talk a little bit about, not so much the hedonism, but just the fact that the excess becomes meaningless? What is that?
Excess, like, it feels very American, like wanting things to be bigger and better and larger and take up a lot of space. And so it's something I notice as an American in the world. It's like sort of supersizing everything. But then also as a woman painter and wanting to make my mark and take up my space as a woman, and wanting to like just keep pushing and pushing.
Well, let's take this piece, for example. I mean, this is excessive. I mean, it is.
It feels so normal to me, though.
Well, I know. I mean, look at all the other pieces that are
so natural.
Yeah, and of course, you're talking about the filling the space. I get that, and I also get the vibrancy, the movement, the coloration, of course. But then I don't really equate this to supersizing. This excessiveness is okay. Of course, there's other excessive qualities about, things in the world that are not okay. But here, walking into this and seeing your interpretation, it's okay. So looking over there at the painting of fish, everything is moving, and when you're painting that, where do you start? Do you start at one edge and work, or because it's coming off the edges here, and then it's going back in, and where do you start with that?
Yeah, I'm so appreciative that you're really looking. I mean, I definitely want to keep an audience with the painting as long as I possibly can. The fish painting is called Wet into Wet, and it's actually maybe chronologically the first painting in the show. So I started that the end of 2020 when the pandemic had hit, and I was like, okay, my solution in the studio to this global problem is I'm gonna just like keep painting fish until COVID ends. This is like my own personal little funny moment in the pandemic, like trapped in the studio. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just cram this world full of fish, and I'm gonna reenact this feeding frenzy and keep building this composition and paint my way through the pandemic. Of course, the pandemic lasted much longer than we realized. So that was about 6 months of just painting fish, and then I was like, I don't think I can paint fish anymore. So I started painting moths and snakes, and kind of moving my way through different species. I make a lot of drawings. I make a lot of collages. Once the collage is made, I go back into the drawings, and then I might make a study, or I'll jump into something really large scale and then realize that I need to backtrack and make a study. Sometimes if I'm kind of practicing for a painting, I'll work really large scale on paper. So we have a couple of kind of almost 4 foot by 8 foot works on paper that were were sort of practice rounds for some of these works.
Oh, so the piece that you've got here, it is such a different coloration than what we're seeing, you know, the more pastel kind of coloration, and that's it. It's a study for bringing it to a different canvas, or? Yeah,
Exactly.
okay. All right.
And sometimes a chance to experiment with materials. There's some fluorescent oil paint that was made in Mexico that I bought during this time, during these past 5 years. And sometimes to practice using the oil paint, I'll do it with an ink version or with a watercolor version or with a gouache version, like with a water-based media to get back into my oil paintings. So there's some neon, some reflective paint in the oil paintings that I kind of learned and worked out with the works on paper, because I can kind of pour them horizontally. Yeah, just the studio becomes like a laboratory, trying new things.
Just for grit, how large is your studio?
I'm fortunate. I have a studio in Seattle that's about 20 feet by 20 feet, and then the ceilings are really high.
Oh, okay.
So that really helps. And then I have a ladder, and then I have scaffolding.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly like I said, most comfortable at a large scale. It's like going to see something in the theater. So as a painter, I feel really good if something's like movie scale.
Okay, the bigger the better.
Bigger the better. And then if they're on paper, I barely push the paper. And if I can work horizontally on paper and then on the wall with these oil paintings.
I like to see them just hanging on the wall. There's no framing to them. You know, there's no tight frame, and the edges are kind of roughened. I like that element to them.
Thank you.
When I toured with the docents this morning, we looked at, you know, your work, and one of them we asked celestial navigation.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, I can try anyway.
Yeah.
The titles for each painting are often like a sort of layered, almost inside joke, and there's often something suggestive about them. If you're like, that seems a little edgy or sort of suggestive or seductive or sensual, then yes, I definitely want you to read it that way. But then there's often a tie to something poetic or maybe music or some piece of writing. So Celestial Navigation is the title of one of my favorite episodes of The West Wing. And then it also comes from dual pieces of writing. The large moth painting is called If Your Mother Only Knew, which is...
We noticed that.
Yeah.
We did.
Did you get the joke?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So mothers are like birders. They're people really into moths. And that kind of also comes from a song by Rozelle, who is affiliated with The Roots. It's one of my just favorite studio songs. And it's meant to be suggestive, like if your mother only knew. That painting was inspired by a piece of writing by an author from the Midwest named Melissa Falavino. And she wrote about falling in love with a moth infestation in her home. Like, she'd gone through a breakup, she was living alone for the first time. And she writes about the celestial navigation of moths and them being drawn to the lights in her room. And at first, like, trying to defeat this infestation, and then finding comfort in their company. And I was imagining, like, reading this short story, I was like imagining the loneliness of a breakup, but then also her experience with them like flying at her and how she suddenly didn't feel alone. So the title for the whole show kind of comes from the way that animals navigate, and then also us looking to the stars, and us looking at our own humanity and mortality. And then that also relates to this painting behind me, the lightning bugs, which you might call them fireflies, which is the thing that I miss the most about not living in the Midwest anymore, is missing our lightning bugs. And I think of them as like sort of my own celestial navigation, like my own sort of star charts.
You write about continuously seeking the epic narratives. What's an epic narrative?
I think I was noticing a trend towards, like, in pop culture, an obsession with the apocalypse, like getting ready for the big one, different ways that the world was going to come to an end. And so I kind of decided to write my own backstory. So I decided that all of the work I'd ever made took place on an island. And on that island, only males of different species had survived. So I wanted a way to, like, explain all of my work, but also give it a place. And the place is really the studio, so the studio becomes the island. And it's kind of based on Lord of the Flies or Lost or the series Y: The Last Man, like a different kind of comic books and different things we see in the media. And as a woman, I also was like, I only want to objectify men. I don't want to objectify any women. I wanted to sort of change the canon, shift away from the male gaze, and then have my own female gaze. So I was like, this will just be the juiciest world. So that's my epic narrative, and it's responding to epic narratives that I've read and seen, like even the Odyssey, right? Like Odysseus is such a bro. I'm like, I'm gonna watch the bros, and they're slowly destroying each other, right? There were men, there were human men, they killed each other off, or I killed them off. There were monkeys, the monkeys are gone. And things are kind of devolving and evolving from there. And it's really just an excuse to make paintings. And it's also gives, like, it makes me less lonely in the studio. It makes the studio this island that I can keep pulling at the threads and keep telling this narrative. Yeah.
I'm so glad I asked. I mean, that's amazing. This is really, when you're painting, do you think about all this stuff, or do you just immerse yourself and, you know, you walk into a painting, because they're large, I mean, they're big, and, you know, you walk into it and then it surrounds you.
Yeah, it's definitely a world that I'm walking into. The studio is kind of a world. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It gives me, like, company, and it gives me places to research, places to go. And in the show too, we put out copies of books that I published that kind of trace this narrative. And I think what will end up happening is that it'll just start back over. Like, somehow there'll be some evolution that takes us back to the beginning, but we'll see.
So my final question for you is, what do you want us to take away from your exhibit here?
Color, pattern, love of nature, yeah, an appreciation for evolution, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Marney.
Thank you for being here and bringing your tremendous work that you've got. We hope to see you again.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks to everybody here. Thanks, Marney.